Snake Neck, a copper frog story. Ged rode his pangolin into town. His Gila monitor leathers hung loose off his frail shoulders, and his beard had grown unkempt. Familiar commotion greeted him. Caravanners, blacksmiths, saurian tanners, and barbecue spits crammed amidst the metropolis of tents. Old routines returned to his bones. He tied the pangolin to a saloon post and stepped through its canvas folds. The din of conversation hushed as old-timers left their stools to squint at him. "If it ain't old Armageddon Wales," the proprietor said, a gnomish fellow with a pot belly whose name Ged had forgotten. "Thought you were out living among the pangolin." "A Beelzebub swarm attacked the burrows," Ged said. "Glide raptors out here usually feed on their larvae, so I came looking for what's eating the raptors." "Reckon we can solve that mystery." The proprietor slapped down a bill from the Saurian Hunters Guild. A sketch depicted a tyrannosaur, brute class. Customary to its genus, the beast stood on powerful hind haunches, with tiny forelimbs hanging off its chest. Its neck was elongated to serpentine proportions, indented in a grinning, toothy beak. "Aninga Rex," the bill read. "Triple crown. Reward, 30,000 zeal." "A snake neck," Ged said. "Came down from the oil fields. Company men probably chased it here. They'd love to run us off and give their prospectors free rein of the prairie." Ged clicked his tongue. "Triple crown. Big fella." "Got 4 hunters who came from out east. Alpha ranks." Ged tipped his hat and returned to his pangolin. "You going senile on us?" the proprietor asked. "Take a bill or you can't collect the reward." "Reward," Ged grumbled. "Now what would I do with something like that?" He rode to a giant cast-iron pot bubbling a plume of piquant steam, while Zabron cooks tossed ingredients inside. One perched on the lid, stirring with a giant wooden spoon. Foul folk with clustered bug eyes. Zabron could barely string 2 words together. They only took zeal as payment if your coins were shiny, but they could cook a mean gumbo out of just about anything. Ged tossed them a giant leek from the pangolin burrows. The Zabron clucked triumphantly and hacked it apart with their cleavers. In exchange, the fellow on the lid spooned him a piping cup of brown. Ged shook his water skin. "One for the road, too." He sniffed the cup. Zabron gumbo grew spicier the longer it simmered. "This pot started a few weeks ago, judging by the smell. Enough to burn his gut, but not enough to kill him." "Bottoms up." The fiery sludge incinerated his sinuses, expanded his scent glands, sucking miles of prairie odor. Roasting saurian meat, scat baking in the sun, the prairie's many feckin' grasses. To the north, where the whistlegrass grew, he caught a whiff of fetid tar. There's our boy. Folk often get the wrong impression that nature is always harmonious, and exploitation is the sole province of man. But even the wild suffer their despots. An avaricious saurian could wreak as much harm on the ecosystem as a city fellow with a company charter. As Ged neared his quarry, a glide raptor squawked at him. Its head stuck out of the whistlegrass like a weather vane, a fringe of emerald and ruby head feathers rustling in the breeze. Noisome gits, the glide raptor's squawking discourse deprived the prairie of many a night's sleep, but even they played their role in keeping nature's balance. A threat to them threatened everything living on the prairie. The raptors only hunted in packs, and only when the wind was strong enough to lift them airborne. They posted lookouts at the edge of their territory to watch the weather and threats. If one stuck out its head, a dozen more to be sure to be waiting in the grass. Ged blew into his whistle, matching the raptor's tune. The creature cocked its head inquisitively. "Pardon if I gave offense." Ged stashed his whistle. "I'm rusty." The snake neck waded across the field, a raptor lookout dangling from its beak. The whistlegrass only reached the saurian's knees, but that long, tessellating neck could pluck a meal off the ground, or even from inside a burrow. It must have been picking off lookouts so it could gorge on the rest who kept their heads in the grass. As the snake neck's predator eyes locked on Ged, a growl shook the air. All clicked some cavernous trills. "Think you're king of the prairie, huh?" Ged unsheathed his gun spear. "I got something to say about that." The snake neck dropped its meal and charged, but Ged was already riding, weapon tilted. He'd fashioned the gun spear from a Beelzebub stinger and fluted it with rifling. The barbed point pierced the snake-necked scales down to the chitin thorax that served as the weapon's handguard. Ged pulled the trigger and unloaded a round into the soft flesh of the beast's thigh. It howled and spun. Ged, ready to evade, but heated the beast's front end at the expense of its back. As its neck swung away, its tail knocked him flat backed onto the grass. Ged coughed. Always the damn tail. Before he willed his knees to stand, the snake neck swung back around. Ged's pangolin leapt atop him and curled into a ball like a mother protecting her cubs. The snake neck's fangs clamped onto her but couldn't pierce her golden scales. Helps to have friends, don't it? Not that the snake neck would know. They killed their mates and ate their young. They devoured every creature in the habitats they occupied, from the weakest to the strongest, until they starved to death themselves, doomed by their own supremacy. The snake neck unlatched its jawbone, widening its maw twofold to swallow them. Oh, you're hungry. Why didn't you say so? Ged squeezed his water skin, splashing a piping stream of Zabron gumbo onto the snake neck's tongue. It reared, stamping its talon feet against the grass and scraping its tongue in the dirt. Its eyes watered as it hawked spit, snot, and half-digested raptor chunks. Ged remounted his pangolin. Shouldn't have moved in if you don't like the food. Before they clashed again, the whistlegrass honored its name. It started with a low hum that gradually rose in pitch until it sounded like 1,000 tea kettles going off. Whistlegrass had long ago learned the raptor's tongue. The stalks lent their services as an extra set of weather watchers in exchange for letting some spurs hitch a ride on the raptor's feathers. The volume and pitch told of a mighty squall coming off the Amaranth Desert. Coming in fast, too. Damn, Ged muttered and spurred on his pangolin. He was riding at full speed when the tidal wave of purple sand fell over the prairie. The snake neck wasn't keen enough to heed the whistlegrass's warning, but it was savage enough to chase its prey. Its long neck weaved like a water moccasin. Cade's Fisher cut off the chase with a 50-yard drop, a deadly fall even for a pangolin. Ged and his mount slid to a stop. The snake neck plonked toward them through the billowing sands. This time, it had already unlatched its jaw as it swooped down for the kill. You're right, Ged sighed. I ain't the king of the prairie. With a grin, he touched his whistle to his bloody lips. For once, those raptor squawks were a welcome sound to his ears. 6 winged shadows pelted the snake neck from behind. Their combined weight knocked it off balance, along with the bum leg Ged gave it. It toppled over, straight down the fissure. Ged returned to his feet as the sandstorm cleared. He could fashion the snake neck's hide into sturdy armor, but below the raptors already feasted on its flesh. Ged sheathed his gun spear. They got the kill, so they get the carve. That's what you didn't understand. Ged leaned over the fissure and spat on the snake neck's corpse. This prairie ain't got no king. Never has, never will.